Though there are so many paths, all paths are not for all. Mostly, many of the people can follow an easy path. All people cannot follow the difficult paths. Because, as Sri Ramakrishna himself points out, everyone is very conscious of his or her ego. I am Chidananda, I am Louis. So this kind of identification with my body-mind complex, this ego, is very difficult to get rid of. So as long as one is very attached to the ego, it is easier to follow the path of love, Sri Ramakrishna suggests. The only way to tame the ego so that we may not become egoistic, the only way is to sublimate this ego. How? If at all this ego should remain with us, let it remain as the servant of God. God is a master, I am the servant. Keep that ego like that. You are completely saved from all hardships in the life. Not only that, if you cherish that ideal and be well established in it, you will be taken fast in your path towards the goal. So jnana is the path of knowledge where the seeker follows the path of intellect, always trying to distinguish what is real and what is unreal and rejecting what is unreal without any hesitation. What is renunciation after all? What is the meaning of all these scriptures they all talk about? In different languages they speak, but they all mean the same thing. What is that? For example, in Bhakti Marga, it is said that we should divert all our attachment to God. Bhagavad Gita, it emphasizes the importance of renunciation. What all these words mean exactly? They mean we must completely detach ourselves from anything in this world. So detaching ourselves from the things in and around us is called renunciation. Whether some of us are monks, whether some of us are householders, that's different. Everyone will have to understand this, that if we have to develop in our spiritual practice, we must detach ourselves from all the things of the world. Be in the world in a detached way. That is the way of practicing renunciation. As I had told previously also, what is this bondage after all? It is because it is nothing but the attachment to the things, objects of the world. Any object, whatever it may be, bandhaya vishayasaktam, muktam nirvishayam smritam. Famous verse in Amrita Bindu Upanishad, which I had taken class for more than a year. What a beautiful statement. Bandhaya vishayasaktam. As long as the mind is attached to the things, you are bound. Even if God appears before you, you are not able to get yourself free from bondage because of this terrible attachment to the things. Muktam nirvishayam smritam. What is liberation? Nirvishayam smritam. Getting detached from all these things. How to detach oneself? It is only through the practice of meditation. Complete withdrawal of the mind from all outgoing tendencies. Fixing it, putting the mind at a particular point for sufficient length of time. That's called meditation. Meditation is a process of detachment from the things of the world. The more and more you detach, the more and more you are able to concentrate. The more you are able to concentrate, the more you are able to meditate. The more you are able to meditate, the more you are towards attaining samadhi. So to know that God is existent and He is all-pervading, He is ordinarily called knowledge. We are awakened to this fact. How this creation can go on without the divine power? Is it ever possible? How the whole nature is going according to law? There is another higher state than Jnani, which Sri Ramakrishna calls as Vijnani. How does Vijnani see God? He also had experience of God, but his experience gives him more illumination than the experience of the ordinary Jnani. What is that? The Vijnani experiences that Brahman is immovable. When the whole universe is with Brahman, how can it move? Where to move? To what place to move? Tell me. Achala. And this Brahman is beyond all actions. Beyond all actions. Kutastha. It is a substratum of everything. Actions sprout from the state of actionless. So Brahman is the ground for all the activities that we see in this creation. All these activities are taken care of by the interplay of the nature. By the interaction of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, they clash each other and bring about tremendous activity in the whole creation by the permutation and combination of these three forces, sattva, rajas and tamas. But then these sattva, rajas, tamas by themselves they are not powerful. They are powerful because of the power of Brahman. The potatoes jump in the pancake. They jump in the pan. They are not jumping by themselves. The fire is below the oven. It is because of the fire the potatoes are jumping. But the child who doesn't see the fire below the pan, it thinks, oh, the potatoes are jumping by themselves. Just like that. This crying, this smiling, all mutations going on in this world are all nothing but the outcome of the Parabrahman, the power of Brahman in action through the universe. So all these sattva, rajas, tamas are in Brahman. At the same time, Brahman is unattached. He is not shaken by the interplay of these sattva, rajas, tamas. He is Mayadhipati. He is a lord of the Maya, lord of Prakriti, lord of the universe. That means he is a master of the universe. We should not forget these important points, which is very essential for us to understand. So the universe, mind, intelligence, love, renunciation, knowledge, all these are the manifestations of Parabrahman. Just as the serpent has got the poison in its mouth, but it is not affected by the poison, though poison is in the snake. In the same way, though Brahman has got all the powers in him, Brahman is beyond all this effect of the powers residing in him. And then Brahman appears as static and dynamic. All these manifestations that we see are only to impress upon us the supreme power of the God. We should conclude that whole this phenomena going on is because of the power of Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of an aristocrat. He's got lot of wealth, power, position, property, so many things. Suppose for some reason he sells away all this property, etc. He doesn't have any money. Who cares for him? Who cares for him? In the same way, if God is not showing these powers through various manifestations, then who does care for God? Sri Ramakrishna explains this by giving the example of the aristocrat. Well, in another important point Sri Ramakrishna tells here is that the object of learning is to find means of knowing God and realizing Him. That's it. There was a holy book. The person who was curious to know what is inside, he opened it. He saw every page contained the name of Rama. That is the essence of the scripture. In the same way, the essence of Gita is Tyagi. Repeat Gita 10 times. Tyagi, 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 Gita, 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 Gita. That means it always tells you, it reminds you to meditate upon renunciation. Be more and more detached. Many people are asking, Swamiji, I am doing meditation. This possession, it's mine. All these articles belong to me. This property belongs to me. I am responsible for all these things, etc. These constitute ignorance. So, when we talk that way, my wealth, my family, my children, my house, etc., etc., if we talk that way, that means we are still in the darkness of ignorance. Though we always pray to lead us from darkness of ignorance, but we are not ready to give up, to go away from darkness. We want to be in the darkness, at the same time we want to be freed from darkness. How is it? If you want to get away from the darkness, you must get out. You must walk on. That is, you must make some self-effort. How to get rid of darkness? You must take steps to do that. That's the point. So, Sri Ramakrishna has explained all these things. The only way to fight ignorance is to release the chain of counter thoughts. That is, you must develop the attitude that, O Lord, thou art the master. All these things belong to you. This home, this family, this children, friends, etc. All these things, everything is yours. You must feel sincerely that way. That is the attitude of knowledge. So far, Sri Ramakrishna has given very valuable spiritual instructions to the whole humanity through his talks with Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. We have already studied many points. One thing we should try to understand, that we should take up our spiritual life with all seriousness and with all sincerity. Now, what we see ordinarily in the world, people do not know how to distinguish between what is unreal and what is real. It is very clearly explained by the spiritual masters. What is unreal? Anything that is temporary, anything that is not permanent is called unreal. Let it be anything. The thing that lasts is said to be permanent. So we should clearly bear in mind this important instruction, which will help us in many ways to fight all different forces confronting us in our life. We are passing through a state of suffering simply because we have not been able to grasp this vital point, that is the permanent and impermanent. We must apply this reasoning to everything that happens in and around us and try to judge accordingly. Whatever that is not permanent, we should not give any importance to that. We must hold on to that which is permanent. So the purpose of this statement is that we should not lose sight of the substance. The substance is permanent. The various forms, all other details, they are all temporary. If we take individuals, for example, we are all here. So many forms are here, no doubt, but in essence, we are the same. The essence is permanent, this form is different. And this form is also not permanent. Constantly it undergoes changes. Every moment it undergoes changes. If you observe closely, this creation, preservation and destruction, all these three aspects are going on simultaneously. Every moment, how many things are being born, the same moment how many things are being sustained, the same moment how many things are being destroyed. That means this creation, preservation and destruction all going on every moment. So we should try to analyze some of these factors which are very helpful in our life. Nowadays, people are losing faith in religion, not because the religion is not able to satisfy them, simply because they are not giving any importance to understand what exactly religion is meant. People are often carried away by superstitions and bigotedness. So they are so much concentrated in the external things of the world which are of temporary nature, so much so they give importance to the secular things of the world. In the name of secularism, they are forgetting totally about the religious and spiritual aspect of the life. So the result we are finding in a very disastrous way how it is having its effect. Since people in general have neglected to understand and practice religion in the proper spirit, we find everywhere lot of distortions and all sorts of nonsense going on. In Mahabharata, there is a famous episode. This happened in the forest when Yudhishthira and all his brothers, the 5 Pandavas, they were in the forest. While wandering, Yudhishthira felt thirsty. He wanted to drink water. So he told one of his brothers to go and find out if there is any water nearby. So one by one the brothers went in search of water. No doubt each one found the water, a lake, but nobody came back with water. The person who went, he just not returning. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the 4 gone. Then Yudhishthira was wondering what happened to all of them. Then he himself had to go, worrying himself about his brothers. Not only they didn't bring water, they also are not to be seen. So that was a puzzle. So with great anxiety and worry, Yudhishthira was searching where they might have gone. Finally he came to the same place where all the brothers had come in search of water. He found all of them lying almost dead. He was wonderstruck what has happened to them. Each one is so adventurous, so bold and courageous. What happened? Who dares to kill these people? So when he was just deeply concentrating this way, he heard a voice. Well, these your brothers, they are in this condition because they did not obey me. I had asked them if they could answer my puzzles, if they could tell some of the things which I wanted, then I would have not taken their life. Before they entered into water, I told them, don't enter into water unless you answer these puzzles. But they didn't care. So this is the result. Anyway, I am warning you also. He's telling, that voice is telling to Yudhishthira, Dharmaraj. He's telling to Dharmaraj, look, you also don't take that step of entering into water without answering the puzzles. If you answer all of them, 5 puzzles, then all these brothers would be released. They would get back into life. Then Yudhishthira was astonished. What? Then he was his name itself was Dharmaraja. So his mind was very clear. His whole life was based on pure religion. He is following perfect path of righteousness. So he could answer whatever he had realized through his experience. So then the voice asked him, you please tell me what are the great puzzles in this world. 5 puzzles you must tell and you must try to explain. Anyway, coming to this point, I am telling only one item. The details you can read Mahabharata. Very interesting episode it is. There Dharmaraja tells, look, one of the greatest puzzles is every day people die. every day, every moment people are dying. But still nobody thinks seriously about it. Nobody thinks seriously. Nobody bothers about it. Nobody thinks that he or she also will have to pass through that state today or tomorrow. Death is inevitable. So this is one of the puzzles which Dharmaraja said, and the voice was very happy to hear it. So one brother got life. So like that he told 4 more and all the brothers came back to life. Anyway, my point here is that most of us are not aware of the great significance of the death. When death comes, we know simply how to cry or do some kind of rituals. Then over, after 12 days we are again back to our same foolhardiness. Never for a moment we try to learn a lesson by seeing things happening around us. We see it, but we don't learn it. That is the greatest blunder we are passing through. So, if you have the attitude of learning, then you will achieve many things in this short life. So death is also, in a way, a master. It has something to teach us. That means death is inevitable. We have to meet with death. So we must constantly remember it. That should make us more serious about our responsibilities, our duties to be done in this life. We have come here just to discharge the duties and get back to our original state. This is only a temporary phase. This is not a permanent state. We have come here. This is not permanent. Nobody can stay in this region eternally. Even though he wants to live upon, the nature forces him to get out of the body frame. Even at the age of 90, he struggles to live on. But then nature forces him to get out. That means it's a temporary. So why should we hug on? Why should we hang on towards the things which are not permanent? Herein comes the value of reasoning. Herein comes the importance of spiritual life. That we should clearly understand. So, that's why Sri Ramakrishna, referring to this fact, he said, God laughs on 2 occasions. One occasion when the physician tells the mother of the patient, "Oh, I will cure this boy, don't worry." God laughs. Next moment his life will be taken off and this fellow is boasting about saving him. That is, when death comes, nobody can save anybody. When it comes, it comes. You may like it or you may not like it. Everyone will have to pass through that state. It is an experience. Just as birth is an experience, death is also an experience. Lot of things are there for us to learn. Experience is given to us to learn. Experience is the best teacher. On another occasion, the Divine Lord laughs. That is when the brothers try to divide the land, putting a string across the land and telling this part is mine, that part is yours. When the Lord said the whole universe belongs to me, these rascals are quarreling for this land is mine, that is mine, like that. Anyway, the point is how we don't concentrate our attention on the essence of the things, but we foolishly behave and lose sight of the spiritual values. So the next point which Sri Ramakrishna emphasized here, that the divine experience could not be had through mere scholarly reasoning. Our reason will take only to a certain state, only to a certain point. It doesn't go beyond that. Sri Ramakrishna stresses that if one has faith and love, matter becomes very easy, and he could experience the vision of God by this means. So just while trying to explain this value of faith, Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of how in Sri Lanka Vibhishana and a person walked over the water. A man wanted to cross the ocean, then Vibhishana said, it can be done, only don't see what is there in the corner of your cloth. I will do something, I will tie it in the corner of your cloth. Don't look into that, simply walk on, you will be crossing the ocean. But the moment you become curious and try to open it and see the things, then you will sink. With this warning, he did something on the side of in the corner of the cloth, and he asked him to walk. He's just walking on. He was amazed. After walking through, then suddenly the thought came to him, what is it, that most wonderful thing by which I could walk on water? Remarkable power it is. So he forgot the warning given by Vibhishana. Just he opened it to see what it is. Inside the corner of the cloth there was a leaf on which it was written Rama. Oh, just this? Just this? That moment he sank down because he lost all faith. He began to underrate the value of the divine name. Another example Sri Ramakrishna gives, how Hanuman could cross the ocean by just repeating the divine name Rama. But Sri Ramachandra himself had to construct bridge to cross the ocean. Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out that it is very necessary for us to develop this faculty of faith and love. Of course, it is very common in our account of Hindu tradition. In every house, we give first priority to God. There is a shrine, and every day the person in charge of the house, as soon as he gets up, he completes his morning ablutions and goes there and does his devotions. So the Divine Lord is really looking after the whole home. That is the conception. So everything, whatever we eat, whatever we drink, everything is offered to the Lord, and He is living God there for all our purposes. Whenever we go out, we go and bow down and we report Him, I am going out, oh Lord, protect me, like that. So in all our actions we take God along with us. So there is a great significance in that practice. Somehow we must try to develop love and faith in God. When that is accomplished, then the matter becomes very easy. Then the third point which Sri Ramakrishna said, that what we call Brahman in the Vedas, the same Sri Ramakrishna calls as the mother of the universe, Divine Mother. Brahman and Prakriti, what we call Shakti in Sanskrit. Shakti. Whatever the display of power you see in this universe, it's all called as Shakti. There are so many degrees of manifestation of the power, but all this power is nothing but the power of Brahman himself. So Brahman and power, Brahman and Shakti, Purusha and Prakriti, they are one and the same. They are not different. They are one and the same. That is why Sri Ramakrishna could realize the impersonal aspect of God. First he had realized personal aspect of God, Mother Kali. Then he realized a non-dual aspect of God, that is Parabrahman. So ultimately he realized that what he realized as Mother Kali is none other than Parabrahman. That's the beauty. So what he first realized as personal God is none other than the impersonal God. There is no difference between the two. They are one and the same. Brahman, you see, the divine in its static condition is called Brahman. In its dynamic condition it is called Shakti. That is, as creator, preserver and destroyer, Brahman is called the primordial energy, Kali. So like that, Sri Ramakrishna has explained God and His creation, how Parabrahman and the Shakti are working incessantly in the creation, how they are through everything. Nothing is being done without the knowledge of this divine Paramatman. Absolute shines bright in the lotus of the heart. He is beyond the grasp of concepts like existence and non-existence. He is devoid of the modifications of nature. The blissful being, spotless, spiritual swan, Sri Ramakrishna, we shall offer our salutations. Incomparable, subtlest of the subtle, a cosmic and desireless, resembles sky in all pervasiveness. The abode for all beings to rest. The most worshipful being, Brahman, the existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Sri Ramakrishna, we shall offer our salutations to him. With a heart filled with universal love that could never bear to see the misery of jivas, the embodied beings, the Supreme Being is now born as Sri Ramakrishna to bestow knowledge, devotion and peace on mankind. Hallowed form of pure radiance of intelligence, his mind poised on the threshold of relative consciousness was habitually in the transcendent state.